You know what breaks my heart? Walking through this world and seeing the most beautiful souls, the most giving hearts, the most caring people, sitting alone on Friday nights, while those who couldn't care less about others are surrounded by crowds. There's something fundamentally wrong with this picture, and today we're going to expose the truth that nobody wants to tell you. The truth is that being nice, the way most people understand it, is actually a curse that will leave you isolated, taken for granted, and ultimately alone. I see you nodding your head because you know exactly what I'm talking about. You've lived this reality. You've been the person who remembers everyone's birthday, but nobody remembers yours. You've been the shoulder everyone cries on, but when you need comfort, the phone doesn't ring. You've been the first person people call when they're in trouble, but the last person they think of when they're celebrating. You've given your heart, your time, your energy, your resources to people who disappeared the moment you needed them most. And what did you tell yourself? You probably said, that's okay. I don't give to receive. But deep down in the quiet moments when you're all alone, you wonder why your generosity feels like a punishment. You wonder why your kindness feels like a burden. You wonder why being good feels so bad. The pain you feel isn't because you're selfish. It's because you've been selfless to the point of self-destruction. You've been taught that nice people are good people, that giving is always noble, that putting others first is always right. But nobody told you that there's a difference between being kind and being a doormat. Nobody told you that there's a difference between being generous and being foolish. Nobody told you that there's a difference between being loving and being desperate. And now you're paying the price for not knowing these differences. Stop right there if you think I'm about to tell you to become mean or cruel. That's not what this is about. This is about understanding why your kindness has become your weakness, why your generosity has become your prison, and why the very qualities you thought would attract people are actually pushing them away. The most devastating realization you can have is that you've been playing the game of relationships completely wrong, and every act of kindness without wisdom has been digging your grave of loneliness deep. Let me paint you a picture that will make you uncomfortable. Think about the nicest person you know. The one who always says yes, who drops everything to help others, who never asks for anything in return, who puts everyone else's needs before their own. Now tell me, how many genuine, deep, meaningful relationships does that person have? How many people actually pursue them, value them, or fight for their attention? The answer will shock you, because nice people, despite being surrounded by people who need them, are usually profoundly alone when they need someone themselves. Picture this scenario. It's 2 a.m. and you're going through the worst night of your life. Your world is falling apart and you need someone to talk to. You scroll through your phone looking for someone to call, but every name you see is someone you've helped, someone you've been there for, someone who owes you their emotional support. Yet you hesitate to call any of them. Why? Because deep down you know they won't be there for you the way you've been there for them. You know, they see you as the strong one, the helper, the giver. They've never seen you as someone who needs help. This is the cruel irony of the nice person's life. You become so good at being everyone else's solution that nobody thinks you have problems. You become so skilled at lifting others up that nobody realizes you're falling down. You become so reliable in your giving that people forget you're human too. They put you on a pedestal of perfection, but pedestals are lonely places to live. The nice person becomes a victim of their own reputation. People expect you to be okay all the time. They expect you to have it all together. They expect you to be the rock, the foundation, the unchanging constant in their chaotic lives. But who are you when you're not busy being everyone else's savior? Who are you when you're not performing the role of the eternally helpful person. Most nice people don't even know because they've been playing this character for so long that they've forgotten who they really are underneath it all. Your niceness has become a mask you wear to hide your own pain, your own needs, your own desires. You smile when you're hurting. You say you're fine when you're breaking. You put on a brave face when you're terrified. And people believe the mask because it's convenient for them to believe it. It's easier to take from someone who appears to have it all together than to give to someone who clearly needs help. Here's the brutal truth that society has been hiding from you. People don't respect what they can get for free. When you make yourself too available, too accommodating, too willing to bend over backward for others, you don't become more valuable, you become a convenience. And conveniences are used, not cherished. They're taken for granted, not treasured. You've turned yourself into a vending machine of kindness, and people keep putting in their problems and getting your solutions without ever stopping to ask what you need. Let me tell you something that will shake you to your core. The people who respect you the least are often the ones you've helped the most. That friend you dropped everything for when they were going through their divorce, they're the ones who never call you back now. That family member you lent money to when they were struggling, they're the ones who avoid you at family gatherings now. That colleague you covered for when they were having personal problems, they're the ones who threw you under the bus when it served their interests. This isn't because they're necessarily bad people. It's because you taught them that your kindness has no limits, no conditions, no value. When something has no price, people assume it has no worth. When you give freely without ever asking for anything in return, people start to believe that what you're giving must not be valuable. After all, if it was valuable, wouldn't you put a price on it? Wouldn't you have some conditions? Wouldn't you have some boundaries? You've created a psychological dynamic where people actually lose respect for you because of your unconditional giving. They start to think there must be something wrong with you. Why else would you be so desperate to give? Why else would you be so eager to help? They begin to see your kindness as weakness, your generosity as desperation, your love as neediness. And once they see you that way, they can never unsee it. The most painful part is that you've trained them to treat you this way. Every time you said yes when you wanted to say no, you taught them that your preferences don't matter. Every time you accepted less than you deserved, you taught them that you don't deserve more. Every time you forgave without them even asking for forgiveness, you taught them that disrespecting you has no consequences. The tragedy of the nice person is that they confuse being loving with being weak. They think that setting boundaries makes them selfish, that saying no makes them mean, that having standards makes them difficult. So they live their lives as emotional slaves to everyone else's needs, wondering why nobody seems to care about theirs. They give their heart to anyone who shows them a moment of attention, then wonder why people treat their heart like it's worthless. But here's what's really happening behind the scenes. While you're busy being nice, other people are busy being strategic. While you're giving your heart away for free, they're making others work for their attention. While you're always available, they're creating scarcity around their time. While you're saying yes to everything, they're being selective about their investments. And guess what? People are drawn to them, not to you. You see, nice people operate from a scarcity mindset. They believe that love, attention, and relationships are rare. So they must grab onto whatever they can get and hold tight. They believe that if they don't say yes to everything, they'll lose the little bit of connection they have. They believe that if they set boundaries, people will leave them. So they operate from fear, fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, fear of being alone. But people with value operate from an abundance mindset. They know that the right relationships will honor their boundaries, not punish them for having them. They know that the right people will respect their no as much as their yes. They know that quality is better than quantity, and they'd rather have one genuine relationship than 100 fake ones. A nice person is like someone standing on the street corner giving away $100 bills, wondering why nobody respects them. Meanwhile, the person of value is like a store with high-quality goods and fair prices. People line up to do business with them because they know they'll get value for their investment. The difference isn't in what they're offering, it's in how they're offering it and what they require in return. You want to know what attracts people? Confidence attracts people. Mystery attracts people. Value attracts people. Challenge attracts people. When you're always available, always agreeable, always ready to drop everything for someone else, you become predictable, and predictability is the death of attraction. People don't chase what they already have. They don't value what costs them nothing. They don't fight for what's already surrendered. The human mind is wired to want what it can't easily have. This isn't shallow or superficial, it's basic psychology. When something is easily accessible, our brains categorize it as less important. When something requires effort to obtain, our brains assign it higher value. You've made yourself so accessible that people's brains have automatically filed you under low priority without them even realizing it. Think about the last time someone was truly excited to see you. I mean, genuinely thrilled, not just politely pleased. When was the last time someone's face lit up when you walked into the room? When was the last time someone fought for your attention instead of you fighting for theirs? If you can't remember, it's because you've trained people to expect your presence rather than appreciate it. Here's the hard truth. Attraction is not built on convenience. It's built on curiosity. People are attracted to those who have their own lives, their own goals, their own standards. They're drawn to people who might say no, who have other options, who don't need them, but choose to spend time with them anyway. When you're always the one reaching out, always the one making plans, always the one adjusting your schedule, you remove all the mystery and challenge from the relationship. The most magnetic people in the world are not the nicest people in the world. They're the most self-possessed people in the world. They know who they are, what they want, and what they won't accept. They have a life so full and interesting that spending time with others is a choice, not a necessity. They don't chase people because they're too busy living their own lives to beg for someone else's attention. Think about it this way. When something is rare, it becomes precious. When something is abundant, it becomes common. You've made yourself so abundant in everyone else's life that you've become common. You're the person they call when they need something, not the person they call because they want to spend time with you. You're the backup plan, not the first choice. You're the safety net, not the prize. This is why people take you for granted. Not because they're evil, but because you've made it impossible for them to do anything else. When you're always there, always saying yes, always putting their needs first, they stop wondering if you'll be there tomorrow. They stop appreciating your presence because they've never experienced your absence. They stop valuing your time because you've never shown them that your time has value. You become the emotional equivalent of background music. You're always there, always playing, always available, but nobody really notices you anymore. You provide comfort and stability, but you don't create excitement or passion. You're safe, predictable, reliable, and boring. People take you for granted the same way they take electricity for granted. They only notice it when it's gone. The cruel irony is that by trying so hard to be indispensable, you've made yourself dispensable. By trying to be everything to everyone, you've become nothing special to anyone. By trying to be the person who never lets anyone down, you've become the person who never lifts anyone up either. You're not adding value to people's lives. You're just preventing them from experiencing any discomfort or inconvenience. What you don't realize is that struggle and effort actually make relationships more meaningful, not less. When people have to work for your attention, they appreciate it more. When they have to respect your boundaries, they respect you more. When they have to earn your time, they value it more. But you've removed all the struggle, all the effort, all the challenge from knowing you. You've made loving you too easy. And easy love isn't precious love. Most dangerous lie you've been told is that your worth comes from how much you give to others. So you keep giving and giving and giving, thinking that eventually someone will recognize your value and give back to you. But here's what really happens. The more you give without receiving, the more people assume that's all you're good for. They put you in the box labeled giver and never consider that you might have needs, wants, desires, and dreams of your own. This is why nice people end up alone, not because the world is cruel, but because they've trained the world to see them as servants rather than as equals, worthy of love and respect. They've taught people that their time has no value by always making time for others. They've taught people that their feelings don't matter by always prioritizing other people's feelings. They've taught people that they don't deserve reciprocity by never asking for anything in return. You cannot build a meaningful relationship on the foundation of inequality. When you're always the one giving, calling, planning, sacrificing, and accommodating, you're not in a relationship, you're in a one-sided arrangement where you're the unpaid employee and they're the ungrateful boss. Real relationships require mutual respect, mutual effort, and mutual investment. But nice people are so afraid of losing people that they accept crumbs and call it a feast. The energy of desperation is repulsive. When you're lonely, you emit this energy that screams, please don't leave me, and I'll do anything to keep you. People can sense this desperation from miles away, and it makes them uncomfortable. It's like emotional quicksand. The harder you try to hold on to people, the faster they sink away from you. Desperation makes you try too hard, give too much, and need too much validation. It turns you into an emotional vampire who drains others instead of energizing them. Here's a hard truth. You cannot love someone into loving you back. You cannot give someone into valuing you. You cannot sacrifice someone into respecting you. Love, value, and respect must be freely given, or they're not real. When you have to beg for attention, it's not attention worth having. When you have to convince someone to appreciate you, they don't really appreciate you. When you have to chase someone to be in your life, they don't really want to be there. The foundation of every meaningful relationship is self-respect, but nice people often love others more than they love themselves. They know everyone else's favorite color, favorite food, favorite movie, but they've forgotten their own. They know everyone else's dreams and goals, but they've sacrificed their own on the altar of people-pleasing. They know how to make everyone else happy, but they've forgotten what makes them happy. You cannot give what you don't have. If you don't have self-love, you cannot truly love others. You can only need them. If you don't have self-respect, you cannot respect others. You can only fear losing them. If you don't have self-worth, you cannot add value to others. You can only subtract from yourself. The nice person's love is often not love at all. It's neediness disguised as generosity. The transformation from nice to valuable begins with a simple but revolutionary decision. You decide that your needs matter too. You decide that your time has value. You decide that your energy is precious. You decide that your heart is not a public utility that everyone can access for free. This doesn't make you selfish, it makes you self-aware. This doesn't make you mean, it makes you mature. Valuable people have standards. They don't accept disrespect because they respect themselves too much. They don't tolerate being taken for granted because they know their worth. They don't chase people who don't want to be caught because they're too busy living their own lives to beg for someone else's attention. They understand that the right people will recognize their value without them having to prove it constantly. Standards are not walls, they're filters. They don't keep everyone out. They keep the wrong people out and let the right people in. When you have no standards, you attract people who have no standards. When you accept anything, you get everything, including everything you don't want. But when you decide what you will and won't accept in your life, you begin to attract people who can meet those standards. The art of selective investment is crucial to understand. Your energy is not unlimited. Your time is not infinite. Your love is not a renewable resource that you can give away carelessly. You must learn to be selective about who gets access to your heart, your time, your energy, and your life. Not everyone deserves your investment. Not everyone is earned the right to your attention. Not everyone is worthy of your love. Stop watering dead plants. Stop investing in people who never invest back. Stop giving your all to people who give you nothing. Stop trying to resurrect relationships that the other person has already buried. Your energy is too valuable to waste on people who don't value it. Your time is too precious to spend on people who don't appreciate it. Your love is too beautiful to give to people who can't see its beauty. When you start being selective about who gets your energy, something magical happens. You begin to attract people who value what you offer. When you stop being available to everyone, you become more valuable to those who matter. When you stop saying yes to everything, your yes becomes meaningful. When you stop giving your time away freely, people start respecting your time. The most attractive thing about a person is not their willingness to please everyone, it's their commitment to their own growth and happiness. People are drawn to those who are building something, creating something, becoming something. They want to be part of success, not rescue failure. They want to join a journey, not carry dead weight. Build your own life so beautifully that people want to be part of it, not because you need them, but because you're creating something worth joining. Pursue your dreams so passionately that people are inspired by your dedication. Develop yourself so consistently that people respect your commitment to growth. Love yourself so completely that people want to experience that kind of love. In a government, confidence is magnetic because it's rare. In a world full of people seeking validation, the person who validates themselves stands out. In a world full of people trying to fit in everywhere, the person who's comfortable being themselves is refreshing. In a world full of people who need others to complete them, the person who's already complete is attractive. You don't need to become mean to stop being taken advantage of. You don't need to become cruel to stop being used. You don't need to become cold to stop being a doormat. You just need to become wise. Wisdom knows when to give and when to withhold. Wisdom knows who deserves your energy and who doesn't. Wisdom knows the difference between being kind and being foolish. The person of value gives from overflow, not from emptiness. They love from fullness, not from need. They serve from strength, not from weakness. They help others, not because they need to be needed, but because they choose to add value. This kind of giving attracts rather than repels, because it comes from a place of abundance, not desperation. Stop looking for someone to complete you and start completing yourself. Stop looking for someone to make you happy and start creating your own happiness. Stop looking for someone to give your life meaning and start building a meaningful life. When you become a complete person, you attract other complete people. When you become happy with yourself, you attract others who are happy with themselves. The choice is yours. You can continue being the nice person who finishes last and sleeps alone, or you can transform into someone of value who attracts quality relationships. You can keep accepting crumbs and calling it love, or you can demand the full feast you deserve. You can remain the backup plan in everyone else's life, or you can become the main character in your own story. But understand this, transformation isn't comfortable. It's going to feel wrong at first. When you start saying no, you'll feel guilty. When you start setting boundaries, people will call you selfish. When you start valuing yourself, others will try to make you feel like you're asking for too much. This is the test. This is where most people give up and go back to being nice because the discomfort of change feels worse than the pain of staying the same. You'll lose some people in this process. And that's exactly what's supposed to happen. The people who get angry when you start respecting yourself were never respecting you in the first place. The people who disappear when you stop being their emotional servant were never your friends. They were your users. The people who guilt you for having standards never valued you. They valued what you could do for them. Let them go. Let them all go. Make space for the people who will celebrate your growth instead of punishing it. Make space for the people who will respect your boundaries instead of testing them. Make space for the people who will add value to your life instead of just taking from it. The right people are waiting for the real you, the you with standards, with boundaries, with self-respect. This isn't about becoming a different person. This is about becoming who you really are, underneath all that people-pleasing programming. This is about remembering that you matter too. This is about understanding that your happiness is just as important as everyone else's. This is about realizing that you can't love others properly until you love yourself completely. The power to change your relationship status from alone to valued is in your hands. It's not about changing others. It's about changing yourself. It's not about becoming someone different. It's about becoming who you really are. Underneath all that people-pleasing, it's not about being less loving. It's about being more wise about who receives your love. Your loneliness is not a life sentence. It's a wake-up call. It's telling you that something needs to change, and that something is not the world around you. It's your approach to the world. Stop giving yourself away and start investing in yourself. Stop chasing others and start becoming worth chasing. Stop being nice and start being valuable. The right people are waiting for the real you, not the convenient version you've been presenting to the world.